Hello! You're listening to The Journey is the Destination, where we're meeting interesting people and learning about the world. We're Christian and Emma. Emma, hello.
Hello, Christian. So today we're talking with our beautiful friend Flo. She's got a very unique and interesting way of many things, of which we'll talk about consent, self-love, feminism, open relationships, and much, much more. So I hope you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward for everyone to hear it. I like to add that our conversation was being recorded really organically. We're coming in and out, the noise was all around, but take it as it is. This is part of the journey. I don't think it should distract anyone from the beautiful points Flo has to offer. Also, by the end of conversation, we speak a little bit French, just for fun, for maybe a couple of minutes. So, if you speak French, you're welcome. If you don't,
Just enjoy the beautiful poetry of French words and, the sound of it.
I wish you all to have a nice experience, to enjoy this first conversation of ours, with many more to come. But without further ado, let's get into it.
On y va. Hello, Flo.
Hi,
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's nice to be here with you guys. It's a beautiful studio. Amazing.
Thank you. We're so glad you came.
Yeah, we are here in Motueka, New Zealand, South Island. Yes.
Alrighty.
So, okay, first thing. Do you want to introduce yourself the way you want to introduce yourself? So what can you say about yourself? What's your passion? What you like to do in your life? Whatever pops on your mind.
Okay. My name is Flo. I'm French. I'm in New Zealand. I've been in New Zealand for 1.5 years around. Thanks to the COVID, we all got a lot of time here compared to what it could have been.
Sure.
And it's a great time to have an inner journey in here. It's a really cool country, magical vibes, and I'm super happy to be here. Really grateful to be on this part of the world right now. On an inner journey myself. I turned 30 last year, so this is the beginning of a new decade for me, and I accomplished a lot of new stuff. I got my driving license, I got dreads, and I got new tattoos. And I'm on my way to learn to be alone again after a lot of time in couples. And basically on a inner and outer journey in New Zealand. I live in my van. This is the van community, and I'm super happy to do a podcast, to be creative, and to put something out in the world to share that creativity moment.
Yeah, thank you again.
And that's amazing. Yeah.
Right. Thanks to the plane, it's gonna be like background noise.
Nice.
It's like live action.
It is. What would you say is your passion? What do you do in life?
I'm very curious, so I love to discover new stuff. Actually, I'm interested in absolutely everything, everything. I'm interested in intellectual subjects, but also in material thing. I'm interested in fashion. I love to do photography. I used to love movie theater a lot, even though since I'm traveling it's a bit less easily accessible, but I still love movies. I love animation a lot. I'm really, really into animation. Black and white movie, I really like the aesthetic also. Same for photography. And I like craft and art in general. I'm interested in pretty much everything in life. I didn't find yet something that is not interesting at all for me.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, pretty like a lot circus stuff too, and I'm getting into the dancing, and I would love to get into theater, but it's still a big step. And poetry and songwriting is also definitely something I'm working on every day a little bit.
I feel I really enjoy everything that's new, like just trying a new thing and then getting into it and then going to another thing. And there's so many little things to get to know, to learn, to see.
And share people's passion. Like that's, for me, that's the most interesting. If someone can be passionate about something, then by being with that person and sharing that moment with them, then I get a glimpse of this passion myself, and that's what makes life completely magic. You know, the little sparkle that is something you never thought about before, and suddenly it's becoming like an art, you know, whatever it can be, as simple as words or colors, you know.
It's a special kind of connection when you find someone like to share a passion with. It's so beautiful always.
And everything is accessible. That's what I love about creation. It's just about doing it. Just do it. Get inspired and do it. And I think that's what I love in life, being inspired and doing many things.
It's true. No, there's so much art. Like for me, I always see art like it's kind of universal. So whatever art you do, you can do everything, but it's still just art, you know. It's still the same way of expressing yourself in 1,000 different ways. So at the end, we all do different things, but they're all the same in the idea of it.
Yeah. And it's like open-minding. It's like,
true.
The more you are interested in things, and the more you discover, you know, it's an unstoppable creating force. Like,
life flowing through you.
Yeah, really, really.
For me, it's beautiful to see when people have this passion for anything, like art, of course, but also other things. Once they are like at this level that when you see them, you know it. You're just like, oh wow. Yeah. And then I can be excited by climbing ice or like diving down into the ocean, stuff like this. They're just like, wow, I'm inspired to do something like just your force is keeping me going. It's beautiful.
Maybe it's this level of mastery, you know, when they become like so into it, they become masters just because they love it so much.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe the thing I should work on in myself to be more productive would be to have more discipline, to stick to something so I can achieve a bit more of self-mastery and not being all over the place, like being good at a little bit of everything but really good at not one thing in particular. I think that's something I would like to work on.
That's
with
amazing.
Time, probably.
Actually, I feel it's the same because I also want to do so many things, and I feel like life is too short to try and master them all. Like, how can you choose one thing? Like, what is the one thing you want?
I know, and me, I get bored really easily after starting something new. It's super magic, and then I get bored. And recently, I met that amazing guy. He's called Cyp. He's a French guy. I met him in Takaka, and he was telling me, the minute you start getting bored, you start getting good. So if you stop at that moment, you're destroying any chance you will ever have to get good at anything. And for him, that's how he does everything in his life. He reached the state of boredom and push even harder after that. That's the first sign that he's getting good at something.
That's interesting.
So I was like, wow, I'm gonna try.
I never thought it that way.
It's inspiring, isn't it? Because
it's a lot of this perseverance in every mastery. It's like a lot of hours spent alone, just drilling one thing or doing one thing, even if it's boring, if it's. But you have this push that's keeping you going.
Yeah, and for him, it's really a good sign, like a positive sign of like you getting that, you getting there. You know, keep on going. It's actually an encouragement instead of being like I'm gonna switch to something else. Like
wow.
Yeah.
Well, amazing.
For me, it's always, whenever I meet people who are not from my hometown, it's always interesting to ask about where they're from. So basically, I would like to know where you're from, how would you describe your home, how would you describe what's there, the people, whatever is important to you.
Yeah, okay, I come from Paris. I'm born inside of Paris, so there is two Paris. There is inside of Paris and there is the outer, we call it La Banlieue. It's really two different lives because the outer of Paris is like more like houses and small gardens and smaller cities where everything is kind of also furthest away. Like you have to take your car and stuff like that. If you live inside of Paris, we're really living in apartments, in buildings, and everything is close by. You can walk to everything or take public transportation. So it's a link to life and to time that is super different. So me, I'm born straight inside of Paris. It's a very busy, high, fast-paced environment. I had to go away from it to understand that. But all my childhood, for me, was just very normal to do a lot of things, and there's not much nature over there, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm really happy that I left. But culturally, it's insane. Like, it's really good, like really, really good. I'm so grateful I'm from that place. It gave me an access on the entire world. Like, I know other countries exist. I know they are important. I know how important it is to speak English, even though I was not too much into it. And I had access to many exhibitions, museums, movie theaters, a lot. It was a great place to develop an artistic, intellectual mind.
Whenever I'm speaking with French people, it's, for example, talking about what's been lost in Corona times. They all start with movie theaters, art galleries, stuff like this. So again, you're saying this as like the priority. I feel, of course, when I'm in France, you see it everywhere, but still, like, it's so high in everyone's mind and important.
It's so important. It's so important. And if, like, if this podcast is gonna be shared, let's say it to everyone. Paris is not a romantic city. It's a dirty city with way too many people to have the space to have romance. So it's very, very overrated in terms of romantic possibilities. People are really harsh and not always really polite, so that's not the place where you would like to take your love to have a time together. I would not recommend Paris at all. At all. Like, so sorry for everyone that think that this is their wedding destination. It's the worst possible choice for a wedding destination, except if you have a lot of money and you can afford to offer yourself those places that are protected from the crowd. For the rest of us, normal, like peasant, exactly, it's absolutely the city of culture. It's amazing architecture everywhere, like everywhere. It's palace and history, and it's so rich in terms of building that tells you a lot about the past. And there is like more than 20 museums in there, in the whole Paris. Museum as factor are like, you can have like modern art museum that have like really new concept, super interesting, but you also have a tiny museum that is the Museum of Magic, with that explain you all the tricks of old school magic, going all the way to Egyptians that were making, thanks to super intelligent system, they were making things move with water vapor, and so just by heating another place, it was going into a conduct and it would make something else move. And they would pretend, obviously, it was religious and magic. But yeah, it's the whole history of magic in this tiny, creepy place, you know? You've been there?
Yeah.
I love it!
No, I love Paris. Like, for the art eyes of mine, I see it as like so much love, actually, because there is so much art everywhere, and it's so from the heart, everything. It's so much expression that for me it feels like a lot of love there. But yeah, I know what you're thinking about. Like, it's so much tourists and people. Like, for you living there, that must be completely different.
Yeah. Me, if I take someone to visit Paris, it will be really like the cool monuments, cool view over Paris, and museum, movie theater, exhibition, theater, everything, everything cultural.
So much.
And then you will never get bored, and you will fall in love with Paris for sure, 100% sure.
It's beautiful also because under 26 years old, I think, you can visit all the museums for free. So I was just going around Paris, going to museums.
I know.
I love that.
Let me in, thank you.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
I turned 26. That was the saddest birthday of my life. You know, people are sad when they reach 30 or 25. For me, it was 26. Was like, no way. No more free stuff.
Now when you reminded me of that, I so want to go to Paris right now.
Time's running out.
Shit, people.
Yes.
We need to do that.
Yeah, that would have. Yeah, that's great. But there's many ways in Paris to access culture for free. Paris is really like well organized for that. You can go to opera, for example. You can see an opera. They are recording opera piece and projecting it in movie theater. And if you go on certain days for very cheap, like for $7, you can see a whole opera in the movie theater after it's been recorded. And then for €10, you can go to the opera itself whenever they have like space available. You go at the last minute just before the show, and if there is space left, you can have your space for $10, for €10. So it's super well organized to be accessible. Actually, culture is really thought as a really common good, and it's amazing. Paris is like a really interesting cultural city for that.
So what do you miss the most? Art or
movie
something?
theaters?
Movie theaters?
Yeah, definitely cinema is what I miss the most. Tiny cinema that have screens smaller than what we have in our own houses nowadays. Yeah, like, and wooden seats, and but it's just being in the dark for 2 hours with yourself and what the person who made the movie wanted to share with you. It's like something that we don't do enough, I think, in life, taking a real time dedicated to that one thing without anything coming to interrupt you. Anyone and anything. You dedicated to that thing for that moment. And being in the dark and being in silence and with that only light source that is the movie itself, it's for me it's a really magical experience. Like, it's something that is very, very precious. Yeah, and I'm not a big fan, obviously, of big production like Hollywood blockbusters. And I've been in Canada for almost 3 years. And in Canada, most of the movies that are being offered to people are blockbusters from the US, because it's really close by, in those giant cinema movie theaters that you can literally lie down. The seat becomes a bed.
I mean,
it entirely falls off, like, and it's massive. Like, it's 2 seats in one that's becoming a bed. Like, it's just... It's nice, I enjoyed it, but it's definitely not what I'm looking for in general when I'm going to movie theaters. And that's also one thing I'm really grateful about Paris and all the tiny places that survived over there. So I've seen movies of like Mongolia and like Japan and India, small movies that you don't even know how they made their way all the way to Paris. Like, and I felt always like it was a really privilege to be able to see that, and I have access to that. So definitely that's the thing I'm missing, and COVID might have destroyed that forever. They were barely surviving those little movie theaters when I was there, and there was no crisis. And so I have no idea what Paris I will find when I come back.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Hopefully a lot of community things would have been created. It's not all negative.
It's opportunity to make new things also.
Yeah, I think people will be more aware of one another. Because the thing I miss the less about Paris, the thing I'm really happy to not have anymore, is that absolute like capacity to ignore the person that is just beside you. Like, I've lived in building, I could hear at least 3 of my neighbors around me, like up, lower, and on the side, and I never got to know them. But I could know whenever they go to the bathroom or what TV program they are watching. And I never got to know their names even. In the metro, you're sitting just in front, like your knees are almost touching the knees of the person in front of you, and you're not even looking at them. So it's this capacity to completely cut the connection to the human beings around you. That for me is like absolutely that, and nature, the lack of nature, it's like the reason why I would probably not live in Paris anymore. I would go with pleasure. I love that city, but I would probably not live there. I don't think it's really good for the soul and the connection to the universe.
Yeah, I see once you experience this tranquility of New Zealand, which is super easy going, to imagine big cities back home.
Yeah,
well, it's kind of scary, no?
Yeah.
We are from a small city, from a capital city in our country, but it's still small compared to like Paris or whatever. And I always used to be like a city person. I loved cities. I was like, I want to live in a city. But after New Zealand, I discovered the small communities and, like a tiny, tiny city or almost a village when you know everyone and there's so much nature and it's so beautiful. It's so welcoming. It's so like, so free for the spirit to live with so many people that are like, you're a big, big family.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, it's nice to go to the city, but for me it's even nicer to get out.
To get out. Yeah, I know that feeling.
So,
Yeah, New Zealand is the best place for that. So many remote places. Like, I got to think that Nelson is too big for me.
Oh yeah, Nelson is too big for him.
So, which is like probably smaller than half of the cities of France, you know.
oh, yeah, of
And
course.
for me, it's already too city-like.
It's very busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, really grateful for the wilderness of New Zealand. Even though maybe I wouldn't live here forever either, because it's too cold. But
Yeah.
also because there's not enough culture in many places. In here, around here, Takaka, Motueka, it's okay. There's a good community of artists and thinkers and permaculture people, and so it's okay. But in the rest of New Zealand, I suffered a little bit from the lack of cultural event. So that's maybe one critique about New Zealand. But it's the only one, I swear, because I love this country. I love New Zealand. It's the best country ever. But like, no. Maybe a bit more culture.
I mean, also this culture can be seen in, for example, Paris on the street. You know, like you have cafes, you have the buildings, you have everything around you is culture.
Yeah.
Here, you have to really find culture. You have to look for it.
Yeah.
And this, I think, is the biggest difference between Europe and here.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just too young. It's
and,
not.
Yeah, and things are really well organized. You know, street art, for example, is really like it's beautiful, but also it lacks a little bit that craziness and freedom and rebellion that comes with it. So maybe also a bit more wild, humanly wild.
Yeah, you always have pros, cons. You have specialties and.
Yeah, that's good. We have everything everywhere.
Yeah, and it's also to us to bring that too with us, you know. It's a country where you have the space to actually bring something new.
Yes.
So, no.
No, it's true. It's amazing. You can also discover a lot about yourself because you don't fall inside this. You don't fall in the tradition. You don't fall in the culture. So you can discover what you like, what you work like. It's amazing.
Yeah.
For that, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Even what's your own expression of the same thing that's done only in one way? Here you have like a million possibilities of how you do it.
Absolutely.
So it's
there is something really powerful in terms of growth, inner growth in here that I never found anywhere else.
It's true. They say that New Zealand has like this feminine energy of peace and tranquility, and Europe, where we are from, has this energy of masculine, active energy. So you come to New Zealand to heal, to connect yourself, to grow, to be in peace.
Yeah.
And then you go to Europe to activate yourself, you know, to do something, to like, how do I say, to create kind of.
Yeah,
like,
that's
not even
true.
create, realize. No, materialize. This is the word. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I can feel inside of me so many projects that are like taking shape, and I need the quiet and the space and the air that there is in here to let them like take shape slowly. But indeed those projects for me are more like happening either in Europe or maybe South America, but that's true, it's like kind of a place of gestation, how do you say
healing,
that? Giving birth to projects. It's beautiful.
That's great. Yeah, well, you know, when we talk about so many interesting things. So actually we have a few themes we would like to talk with you as well, because I think you have such an interesting, unique view upon them, and it would be amazing if you can share them with people.
So far we've been really lucky to have heard you speak about some things that are really making us think and apply different concepts in maybe a new way, new light, fresh wind, and even more in depth after hearing you speak. So we thought about some stuff that we would love for you to explain to us again, because it's just so profound, really.
It's so important also. Yeah, so the first thing we would like to talk about is consent. If you want to tell us something about that, what consent means to you, what that actually is. How do you experience it?
Consent is definitely... Consent is a notion that I discovered in Canada. I was already 25 years old, so it's reasonably new for me, which is sad. I don't think we should wait 25 years old to discover what consent is, means, and what it carries of human respect. So when I got to Canada, consent was a big thing. Consent is a very big thing. It's a topic. It's something that is very important for Canadian people. And the first thing I've seen is a kid's book. It was a kid's book about consent, explaining it to kids. Yeah, on how when a friend of yours wants a hug, sometimes they come and they hug you and you feel that it's not a good moment for you. And you don't know how to react because you really like your friend, and usually you like hugs, and sometimes you don't really want to push them away, or sometimes you push them away too hard and they don't understand. And there was a guide on how, on that basis of just saying hello or hugging, like really at the kids' level, on how you could absolutely say no, even to something positive, and how to make it acceptable for the other person and easier to receive. You could offer another solution. So in the book you could see little drawings of a kid that is like, I don't feel like a hug right now, but we can shake hands, or we can kiss, or we can just make a dance move. Why not to say hello? And I think it's fundamental. It's fundamental to start with kids. Kids should know that their body and their space is their body and their space, and they have the right to keep that space for themselves when they feel like it, or share it when they feel like it. And in a country where you have books like that accessible to every kid that explain that to you, I think it's like for me it was mind-blowing. Honestly, it was brand new. And since then I've been a bit like, I was surprised because I was like, why didn't I hear? I knew the word, I knew the meaning of it, but I never thought it was something important. I just one word of vocabulary amongst many, and suddenly it became like a way of life, because for me consent is a way of life. It's a way of having in your mind the fact that people are different from you, feel stuff at a different level, and it's not just only for the body, it's in general. It's like acknowledging the difference of the person in front of you. So since then I've been really paying attention to people around me talking about it, and I've been attentive to how it feels inside of me to feel consent. At the beginning just as a curious listener, and little by little I started to work on it. And obviously we attract what we need, and so I met a person with who I was in a couple, and this partner was actually very sensitive, a sensitive human being, very careful with the body and really careful with the touch. Me, I'm a really touchy person. It's easy for me to share emotions and share vibration through the touch, or feel the other person. For me, it's never in the intention of taking something from you, but it's more a way of communicating. That is very, very rich and delicious. And little by little I got to discover that for some people that was actually like an invasion of their space, and that could damage them in a deep level, especially if they like me and they don't want to hurt me and they don't want to tell me, and eventually they will tell me, and then it was really hard to receive anyway. So this raised my awareness, and then little by little I got to really got interested in people's point of view. And recently I went to a festival in New Zealand in here that is called Lunasa this year, but Luminate the other years, and they had a workshop about consent. Unfortunately I couldn't attend it because I was on duty that day volunteering for the festival itself, but I made sure to talk about to my friends that went there, for them to explain to me what happened. And one exercise of that workshop about consent was that you would offer to someone something that they would like, right? And for example, a hug or a massage or simply holding hands. So to a complete stranger you would offer like would you like me to give you a massage? And most of the people in those situations would be happy about the massage and say yes. But the exercise was that the person should say no, thank you. So a loving no. Even though you would like to receive it, but just to train yourself to say no, and for the other person to train yourself to receive a no, and feel how it feels inside of you, and feels how it can be difficult to accept, and dig into that feeling to be free from that, and be ready to any moment in life receive a no without anger. But it was also about saying a loving no, because it's very important to not push someone away and enter in a violent cycle. And to be simply, it's really no, but thank you. It's really like, I receive your intention, your good intention, and I receive who you are. And you have the right to exist, and you have the right to offer that to me, but I also have the right to feel how it feels inside of me and refuse. But refuse with love. And that was really important, because after raising my awareness, then I needed real tools to work on it physically and in real life, and to be able then to make my relationships with people, partners or friends, richer and better. And since then I've been really practicing that notion of consent every time I could, especially when I receive a no, a hurtful no. It's the best moment. So now it made my life really great, because what would have usually just hurt me and made me angry is now a great possibility of exercising my consent capacity, the capacity to actually receive a no. And because I can receive a no with love, I also realized that sometimes I used to accept things because I liked the person who is offering it, even though it was not the good moment. But just because I like that person, then I would, like, would you like to hang out right now? Like, let's have coffee. And I felt like being alone, but I really like that person, so I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, sure. And now I'm like, wait a minute. This time I was planning on spending it with myself, and this person will still be around, and I can say no, and I can have that moment later and respect me and respect them, and stay in that state of love, not only for them, not only for me, but for everyone. And it's really changing my entire life. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, yeah, you told it so beautifully in so many things, and I like how you mentioned it's so important to accept a no from the other person, but also to take care of yourself, like to always check if you're okay with what you're doing, because it's like two most important aspects, like you and the other people.
Yeah, can you love other people if you love yourself first? I don't know.
True.
How good can you manage that?
And you show them with example, like how to take care of yourself. Like if you take care of yourself good, then you show them how you want to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
For me it was beautiful to see it in I was lucky to be in a community of people who really, we're not practicing consent on like a level of acknowledgement, but just practicing it, just doing it from the heart.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, in practice, how it looked like, it was always, whatever happened, nobody was questioning anyone. Why did you do it? How did you do it? With whom were you there? Or whatever. It was always just, all right. It was exactly as it should be. So even when we were hanging out with beautiful people, like friends, like such beautiful people, and with beautiful connections and everything, still, if you said, oh, actually I need time for myself, everyone was just, all right, no words said. It's just, take your time. That's the first thing, that's the most important. And I really felt so in tune with myself, with people. I could always do what I feel, even if it was offering it to someone, but I always felt the life, the force flowing. It was never, I feel weird, if I felt weird, we would talk about it. I would just like say, I'm feeling weird. And it was always this, all right, we understand that that's what's coming up, and that we put it on the table, do what has to be done. It was a beautiful connection and way of living.
Absolutely.
No, I agree with you, because you're so transparent and everybody is just so honest about being themselves. And I've never experienced this at home, but here with this community, it's like you come and you can cry or you can go away, and you're just accepted for who you are, and you're just loved for that. And people just allow you, actually, like, people allow you to be who you are, kind of.
I believe it's connected to this subconscious control that we're always exerting. Like, oh, why are you sad? We're trying to know why, or how, or what happened,
or how can I help you, to stop the misery.
All the beautiful things that are coming from the heart, everything is just from love. But we have to understand that sometimes people need a hug. People don't need to tell a story of what happened. It's letting it be.
And also to just let it feel, because the emotions they're all beautiful, all our emotions, and sometimes we need to feel sadness. And I know for me, for example, it's very hard to watch somebody miserable and in sadness, and I'm always like, oh, how can I help you? So it's an exercise for me to let someone feel it as much as they need it, and then when they are ready, they can let go, they can come and talk to me. It's just giving space, allowing people to feel what we have to feel.
Yeah. The one thing that I didn't say yet, because it's far away in time, so I don't think about it, but consent is really, really often associated with sex. Like, generally, that's how people get to even hear the word consent. Mm-hmm. It's really like you're gonna have sexual interaction with someone, and is that person okay with it or not? Make sure she is. Generally, it's for girls, and it's to avoid a rape situation, or feeling forced. So this is also a part of consent. I didn't really talk about that, so I think, I think about people that never even thought about consent, and suddenly they hear about someone talking like how consent is a way to be themselves and stuff. But like, it's also relevant for touch in general, and especially sexual interaction, and especially for girls, because sexual interaction for a girl is really letting someone in, so there's really something deep and a lot of fragility. It's like opening a door and letting someone in. So it's a very important thing. I think I'm not a boy, so I wouldn't. I don't know about how men feel like it about sex. But as a girl, I really feel that it's opening something in me and giving the opportunity for someone to take something from me eventually. And so consent is also extremely relevant with sexual interaction, and it's probably the first thing you should be aware of with consent, even before reaching next level, which is being yourself and being with other people in general. But about sexual consent, I think it's important to, if we talk about consent, to at least dedicate like 2 seconds to say that. It's very basic, making sure that the person in front of you is able to give consent and gives it. So 2 things. The person gives consent, which means to receive consent, you have to take the chance, the risk to have someone that is not consenting. So asking question, is that alright? Do you want that? And asking fairly regularly. Even if the person, you start having sex with someone and the person is fully okay, and suddenly, and you feel it, if you're a little bit in tune with the person in front of you, which you should always be if you're gonna have sex with that person, like you're gonna feel sometimes the person is like taking a few steps back, getting away, having a serious face. Like whenever you feel that, that's how I deal with sexual consent. Whenever I feel the person in front of me backing up a little bit, it's better to ask, are you okay? Do you like that? Would you like something different? Just taking the time to breathe and ask, is that still okay for you? And as the same for the other life consent, being prepared in yourself even before you ask the question to receive a no. So you feel the other person taking distances, you first ask yourself, okay, what if that person doesn't want it anymore? Is that okay for me? Am I ready? And if you feel ready, then you ask, is that okay for you? And then you can receive whatever that person has to share in that moment. Maybe they feel a fragility and they need a bit of time. Maybe they don't like what you're doing and they would like something else. Or maybe they change their mind and having sex is not okay for them anymore. And that should be alright. That should always be alright. Because then, when you take the time to ask for consent and you receive the consent, and the person is like, yeah, I love it, please continue, then you have the most beautiful, mind-blowing sexual interaction you will ever have in your life. It's about quality, it's about having something unique with a unique person in a unique moment. And obviously, sexual consent is Very, very important. Someone who is drunk or who took drug or in a heavily depression or fragile in their mind in that moment is not a person that is necessarily able to give consent. If that's the case, I don't know, but maybe it's better to not have sex with that person. You know? Is it a good moment to have sex with that person, even though both of you want to? But is the person in front of you really aware of what's gonna happen and ready for it? If it's not the case, then I don't think you should have sex with someone. And there is other way to share with that person, to still be with this person in a beautiful way that it wouldn't be a sexual way. So if someone is drunk, yeah, it's easy, like you're more open, you have less boundaries, it's great. But a drunk person is less able to give consent, so you have to be twice as much attentive. Having sex with someone who is completely drunk and not even able to speak anymore is a rape. And I know this word is scary, and I don't want to put this judgeful feeling on people, but it is a rape. And if you don't want to be a rapist, and it's okay, I do believe that we all been in a rapist position at some point in our lives. So it's not a big deal. It's okay. It's like doing a mistake. It's like hurting someone. You pushed your best friend when you were a kid because you got angry. Yeah, you feel bad about it. You have to reflect on yourself. Why did you do that? And then grow up consequently, you know. Be like, okay, maybe next time when I feel angry, I'm not pushing my friend. Maybe I'm gonna take time for myself and think about it. I really would like rape to become something a bit more mainstream, actually. Like, there's a lot of things that are rape and wouldn't be called like that because it's immediately like a criminal thing. Even like, no, rape is like forcing someone is happening all the time. You have to be aware of it, and you have to not be scared of asking yourself and facing that in yourself. And if you did force someone at some moment, it's always possible to ask for forgiveness. It's always welcome to say, you know, that time I didn't really took the time to ask, and I feel that maybe I've been forcing you a little bit. Maybe you weren't fully consenting, and I'm really sorry about that. And I'm gonna be trying my best to not make it happen again. And next time, to make sure, and with all the other people I'm gonna be with, to make sure that they are fully okay with that. Like in another festival in New Zealand this year, when they introduced the festival and opened it, the guy said that this was a consensual event, and that for him, if it wasn't fuck yeah for one thing, then it was a no. It had to be a fuck yeah, not just yes. Fuck yeah. That's consent.
And also, if you're silent, that doesn't mean yes.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
exactly.
Silent is like no.
Exactly. And I really, really think it's important. But it's not a big deal. If you forced someone at some point, we are just human. We make mistakes constantly all the time, and you don't have to hate yourself for that, you know. But you do have the responsibility to reflect, ask for forgiveness, which is fundamental, because that's how you heal someone and you heal yourself, and then do better. Do better. We are human beings. We are here to grow up constantly until we die, and even possibly after, if you believe in it or not. But I think that's really something about sexual consent that I would like to say.
Oh man, you said it so amazingly. Like, wow, so beautiful, really. Thank you.
Also, I believe without consent you can't go. You can just reach one point. So if you really want to go deep, there's no going past consent. Consent is at the base of everything that you're trying to build, even with friends, not let alone any relationship that's partner or sexual or...
Yeah. You know, and also I think you cannot have a deep connection because somebody doesn't want to open it at all. If somebody doesn't want to open, how can you connect with that person? Even if it looks like you're connecting in a way.
Mm-hmm. And we all have the possibility to feel that. Yeah. When someone is fully open and when you are fully welcome in someone's space, you feel it instantly. It's not an imaginary thing. It's like really something that you instantly feel. Yeah, it's tangible, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for me it was interesting. Last time we were talking about it, you said also that consent is attention. So basically, I believe that using consent can be a beautiful tool to connect, to make people feel noticed. for people to really appreciate you. Like, oh, thank you for taking care of me, even though usually this doesn't happen. I would love to see the world where everyone's like, oh, is it okay if I drink from your cup?
Yeah.
Stuff like this, little things everywhere.
It's acknowledging difference, really, like, it's acknowledging I perceive life in a way and someone else's perception can be completely different, yet legit and valid and important. And respecting that is respecting someone else. Giving them the opportunity to exist. Simply, like, you can exist. You are allowed to exist as you are. And as you are the most beautiful. And you are this person that I want to meet. As you are.
How would you say that consent is used in practice? Like, which examples are the most... We wouldn't even think about it, or where is it the most powerful, of course, regarding sex, but even in things that
like
we
in
don't think
everyday
about.
Things.
Yeah.
It's accepting a no. For me, that's the main point of consent, I think. In general life, in sex, in everything, I think expressing the no is sometimes really hard. It's something you have to work on. But accepting the no, I feel that if people were accepting no more often, therefore it would be easier to say no. I think really that's, if someone is interested in that notion of consent, the first exercise is like being ready for a no, for anything in life, anything. That's the base. For me, it's the number one thing to do. And it's the one that is still questioning me, like, all the time. Yes. I am like, it's funny that you asked me to talk about consent because at many regards, I was the worst with consent. Like, I'm going like from far away. Like, people that know me would not say I'm a master of consent. Definitely. Like, I'm very much a student still. A very big work in progress about consent. And it's really, in my life in general, it's constantly. And also finding the harmony in consent, which means like, okay, I received, like, that person, a friend of mine was talking about this guy, she was with him, and every 2 seconds he was asking her, can I touch your cheek? Can I touch your hair? Is it okay if I sit beside you? Or is it okay if my legs touches your legs? Every 2 seconds. And she was absolutely sick of it. She just wanted to tell him to go because he was breaking the magic of the moment by asking too much. And so she was questioning consent. She was like, well, I would rather that he doesn't ask me anymore, you know? That's the funny thing with consent. It's about also finding the balance. So that's a good exercise for quotidian life. It's also training yourself to feel those moments where consent can be asked and those moments where it's okay. You know, it's like this guy that was asking too much, he needs to meet girls like that to tell him maybe that's too much. And maybe you will readjust the balance. There's no wrong thing again. The same way it's not wrong to force someone. It's just like you're on your way if you have this attention to it. The same way asking too much and being too much into consent is also being on your way. There's no judgment. Like, you just work in progress. But finding that harmony and balance of like, that's a good moment to ask. You know, when there is a pause, you're talking with someone, suddenly there is a little silence, it's very good to say, is it okay if we continue talking? Are you tired? Like, consent is also that, you know? Are you feeling alright? Would you like to eat something? Would you like a glass of water? This is a good moment. There is a pause in the conversation. This is a good moment. You don't have to stop the conversation right in the middle to say, oh, by the way, do you want water? Are you okay? Is it okay if we talk together? You know what I mean? It's the same in sex. It's the same in every aspect of life. It's also good when you practice to also just feel the moment and feel the harmony to find the balance, the good balance. And this is not an ideal. This is not a utopia. This is very something that you can work on. It's also very tangible. So that's also something for everyday life.
For me, I feel that consent goes really hand in hand with discovering what you want, what my need is, what my feelings are at the moment, and also to deal with our fear of rejection. This is the biggest thing. So, like, working on these 2 things is a big part of life, not just consent, but in general. If you master fear of rejection and your feelings, You're doing pretty well, I think. So
Yeah, saying no, receiving no.
yeah.
That's it.
What
To
an
say
art.
no, you have to know yourself
Mhm.
and what's okay and not.
Mm.
And to receive the no, you have to be confident in yourself enough
Mm.
and open enough. So yeah, it's two beautiful things to work on. Consent is a absolute, wonderful, magical way to interact with human beings. And consent is attention, fully attention to the person in front of you and to yourself. Yeah, consent is beautiful. I love it.
Oh.
I'm
Thank you so much for
grateful.
telling us this. Like, I think this is such an important topic, and I didn't even hear about it before I came here. I think I
Mhm.
discovered it in New Zealand as well. So it's so deep and so profound and so important for everyday life as well.
Yeah.
Is it okay with you if we continue?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I consent, but thank you for asking actually.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'll
Right.
serve myself another coffee, I'll make myself comfortable, and this discussion will be even richer
Perfect.
thanks to your question. Life consent. Beautiful. I feel respected and loved, you see. Consent is a beautiful way to interact.
Okay, so I wanted to tell this story. How you once told me that after you break up with your partner, I don't know, you were traveling around for some time, and then your friend asked you, "Hey, did you meet anyone new? Anyone beautiful? Anyone interesting?" And you're thinking, and you said, "Oh yes, I did. I met me." And I think this is so beautiful and so important, and it talks so much about knowing yourself and self-love and the importance of like connecting to yourself, being first in love with yourself. So it would be a great pleasure to talk with you a little bit about that as well, because I think this is also not discussed a lot in the world.
That's a complicated one, huh? Self-love.
Self-acceptance.
Well, yeah, self-love is very much like consent for me. It's something I'm very, very new to. Very, very new. I've been in couples for. I've mostly had really long-term, reasonably long-term relationship. I've stayed 4 years with someone, and then 1 year and a half, and then 5 years almost. So I've spent a lot of my lifetime being in couples. And I based my self-love and self-appreciation a lot on what other people, especially people I care deeply about and love deeply, could think about me. And so yeah, I do believe you can love yourself and grow through someone else's love. It's part of it. But now that I'm finally single for the first time in a while, I realized that I didn't really take a lot of time with myself for myself. It's not about knowing myself really, because I'm constantly changing. I'm constantly evolving. I'm not the same person from one second to another even. But it's more having this love for this thing in progress I am. Like, it's having this unconditional love for whatever I might become. And having this trust that I'm on my way to beauty. You know? I'm on my way to be beautiful, to receive beauty, to accept it, and to see it everywhere, to create it. And like, I believe that if you reach that state of trust that you are on your way to beauty, then this applies for everything in life. This applies for life itself. Life is on its way to beauty. And it just needs love, trust, and space. And yeah, I'm on my way for that, very slowly. It's a lot of things to discover, but right now, at least, I don't know if it's right or wrong, or if it's the way, or like my way at the moment is really to dedicate this life moment to myself, to be my best friend, to be my best lover, to be the ideal girl for me. I just want to love me. Like, this is the path I'm on right now. I'm becoming my ideal human for myself.
It's a lot about having this relationship with you first, and then everyone else.
Yeah, being in a state of absolute love. Because love's called love. You love yourself better, you love others better. You have space for yourself, you have space for others.
Also for me a new word was compassion. I don't know how you understand this, but I feel we have to be compassionate to ourselves and really accepting ourselves. And a lot of things that we apply to others, we never think about doing them for ourselves first, like acceptance, like even consent, you know. am I alright with doing this? So first taking care of ourselves, and then we can be, but not better, but just we can be fully us for others.
Yeah, I feel like love without compassion is like missing a little bit, because you're not fully accepting all the things we kind of call bad, but they're not bad, they're just things.
How would you define compassion?
I'd actually used to define compassion as love before, but now I see that they walk hand in hand, but there's two different things. So like compassion is this big acceptance of everything, the allowing, the acceptance, just to allow everyone and yourself to be just the way you are, with all your flaws and all your perfect mistakes and not mistakes, whatever you are, and to love yourself that way. And compassion allows you to love yourself in that way, even if you're not what you should be, like perfect. Well, this is for me what compassion is.
Yeah, it is definitely love, yeah. So many things are love anyway, like, you know, it's like more like a feeling, like whenever your heart feels like something is right, generally it's coming from love, a really loving place. Compassion, it's a word I never use. I never use that word.
I think it's very English, so we all have to kind of make our own definition.
It's true, we don't have the word for compassion in Slovenian. I cannot find it, like...
Because for me it's very religious. I heard
compassion,
that... Yeah,
really?
Compassion, yeah.
I've never heard it in religion.
Yeah, for me, compassion is what Jesus have for humanity.
They say that compassion is the most healing ability you can have, like to be compassionate to someone, to just accept them and understand them so fully and love them,
support them.
This exactly, to hold them and allow them to be and love them in that way. So it's like the compassion allows you to just carry this person. So it makes sense actually that Jesus used it a lot.
Yeah, you can make a lot of parallels from all the different expressions we use, and there's one really good that's like God is representation of love, and for Jesus to use compassion, I think this is the perfect continuation. You know, you're coming from love, you're like manifesting compassion. So I think Jesus' compassion.
Oh yeah, like the Holy Trinity. Yeah. The God that is love, the Jesus that's compassion, and the Holy Spirit. What is it? It's not just a spirit.
Yeah. Me, I'm coming from an atheist family. Like I don't have any religious background really, and except because coming from France, obviously it's a lot of Catholic culture.
Yeah, true.
Even though you're going out of it, it's still everywhere, and it's really something I'm questioning a lot. And I have the tendency to each of those words to take them with a lot of care, like being really careful with the way I use them.
Yeah.
And because I really have a trouble with the guilt notion in the Catholic religion.
And
I
shame,
think
I
guilt
agree
is a
with
really
you
dark emotion that hardly can give birth to love. And compassion actually is, it's really interesting that you pointed it out, because it's actually a beautiful one. This one I think I could definitely deepen a lot.
It's interesting for anyone of us who is speaking English as second language, because you're always exploring what does it really mean, because even English speakers don't really know, but they have a better feeling for it, and we're just like exploring, like what does it mean? Then you use it in your own way, you know. I think that's the beauty of language. It's just
true. Compassion would be acceptance, would be like it's
exactly that. I like what you said, giving space, like holding space as well.
Yeah.
Congratulations, but it's like national holiday now, especially in France.
What, today is national holiday?
It's the
Workers' Day.
Workers' Day.
I don't know how it's called.
Oh, yeah.
It's a day where nobody works.
Yeah.
What day are we? Oh, Saturday, that sucks.
Why are
one of those years, you know?
Always.
In New Zealand,
they're so smart.
They have something called Mondayzation, so everything is on Monday.
Yeah, you know that Anzac Day was actually on Saturday, but they moved it to Monday, so people can have a free day. And this is what, this is what the country needs, like.
But also, it's a young country.
Yeah, true.
You know, they can do that kind of stuff. Old ass country in Europe, like they're just like,
they're like
Yeah, they're so
tradition.
stuck in power.
They are
Yeah,
so
like
stuck.
Power.
They are so stuck. Like the solution for the planet will definitely not come from
Yeah,
Europe.
exactly.
Maybe that's why I don't feel like
Yeah, it's gonna
settling
come from
in
the
Europe.
For sure.
female energy from New Zealand.
and all over the place.
Yeah.
Like feminism is so developed in South America, so much more than in Europe. It's already achieved at many levels in places like Canada, New Zealand. Europe
True,
is
but I
definitely
think
not the
I think the
place.
whole south part of the world is more feminine energy, and the whole north part of the world is more masculine energy. So it could be this is why down here is more present than the feminism. Feminism itself, I don't like that much because it's too aggressive and too strong for me. But the idea, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like the idea achieved a lot already.
Just saying, you can be a free woman thanks to
Yeah.
feminism. Huh?
Yeah, I know.
You owe them that. Huh? It's not boys that fought for your right. Huh? It's girls, and they died, and they had to be aggressive for you to be able to be free today.
I know.
Look at the fights. Look at every right you have. It's coming from girls fighting, but not from boys defending or fighting for equality.
No, but I don't talk about this. I don't talk about this aggression kind of. But I think like the feminism became this thing where women wants to act like men. No, because I don't agree. Like I want us to be equal, but not the same. Because we're not the same, you know. And I don't like the idea where women acts like a man, except if she wants that. Except if this is from her, you know. If she wants to do it, that's okay. But you know, this modernization when women should do actually everything that men does, but also what women does. So at the end, what happens is that woman does work, has children, cooks at home, so all this stuff, and men only goes to work. So this is why this is the part of.
They are fighting for that, huh? Nowadays. They are fighting for equality in home, like
Yeah, also yeah.
The
So
guy
this is
takes
my
care of
this
the
is my
kids.
problem of the feminism, not what you're talking about. But
typical
this,
modern feminism is asking for, you know, when you have a baby and then you don't work for a few
Maternity
months
leave.
after.
Yeah.
The paternity leave is actually one of requirements from the feminists too.
In Slovenia, I think you can
It's
split
9
it
months,
equally between both parents.
Exactly.
one
So
year to is split equally.
Very
I
cool.
think it
I
is.
didn't know, but that's pretty cool.
And we
Yeah,
get
no,
a
I'm,
lot, like
Yeah, we
a
got
year.
1 year.
I think it's honestly, if you look at what have been achieved, if you look at facts and not just ideas and opinion, but at facts, feminists actually did good stuff. Like the only critique I hear all the time, but because of this one critique, they are being discarded completely, is that they are too violent and they are anti-men. I hear that constantly. So you see the facts, you see those women that achieved so much for other women without taking things away from men. And yet the only thing you hear is a critique that they are too violent. Me, I only hear patriarchy, you know, and I hear that from women constantly. But for me, honestly, and I'm telling you, but it's the voice of patriarchy in your head. It's another voice of control. Because realistically, feminists, like, maybe they're gonna yell, maybe they're gonna be aggressive, but come on, what did they do? Did they hurt anyone? Not really. They just fought for their right. So I think they deserve. You can be feminist or not, it's your right. But they deserve credit. And they deserve appreciation.
Oh, I never said they
and
don't
they
deserve
didn't
credit.
deserve to be constantly accused of being too violent and against men. It's not the truth. It's not the truth. It is a part. I'm not denying it either. But it's definitely a tiny part compared to of all the good they did, and they deserve to be defended. And I will defend feminists against, whenever I hear that opinion, and I hear it constantly, I will defend them, even with other women. They are your ancestry. They are what made you the woman you can be in that century. They deserve credit. They deserve credit. I want to hear fucking once someone telling me like, feminists did such a great job. Like the day there will be a guy coming up to me and in the conversation saying like something like, feminists did a great job, thanks to them, you know, I will be like, because constantly I hear feminists are too aggressive, they hate men, they are the one who are being sexist. I hear a lot of men being hurt by that, but I also hear a lot of women who are like, I don't want to be called a feminist. They are like they are so aggressive. Like I'm a woman, but I'm not a feminist, and I don't think all women should be called feminist and stuff. Guys, give them credit. You don't
What
have,
do you
nobody
actually
forced you to
think?
be a feminist, but you can give them the credit that they deserve, I think.
What do you actually think about this? What's going on now that like women do have like a full-time job that's less paid than a man, which is still what feminists still achieve. That's amazing, but it's still not as fair. And then they have to take care of the children, and then they have to cook at home. So it's like
and do the chores that are like traditionally
like
in
traditionally
the culture.
women culture. So I know
Not
that
by
more and
law.
more men are helping them, but you still see this a lot of time, and it's at the end what it looks to me is just that the woman gets only more responsibility.
Do you think that it's coming
Than men.
from society though? Don't you think
Of
that
course it
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
That's of course it
Only
does.
from society.
Only
like
from society,
if
of
you are
course.
in an enterprise, the enterprise should be the one thinking about the solution for children, making sure that their employee can have their children
No, I agree with this
situation being
100%.
independently of woman or man. Like you have kids, do you have a solution for them to be taken care of? You know, this space, like enterprises should work connected to life. Life means you need time for yourself. You need to do sports and exercise. You need to relax. You need to take care of your kids. You need to take care of yourself. These should be normal requirements that enterprises should think about. So it's actually this fucking system that is crushing everyone.
Yeah. Well,
It's just not human. We are being treated like machines. Like in the same way you cannot put a kid in a schoolroom for 8 hours a day and expect him to be like happy and healthy and creative. You cannot put an adult human being in a stressful position 8 hours a day and expect him to continue having a healthy life on the side, that it is inside of him or with his kids or with everything. It's not possible, it's not working out. But this has nothing to do with either feminist and even men. It has to do with the way we think of society. And men are the ones that are paying that too. They are paying that too. Because I had a friend, he took care of his 3 girls, and he had so much trouble with justice to be recognized that he was a single father. Justice kept putting the kids in the hand of the mom. That was really destructive. That was mentally not okay enough to take care of kids. And yet the kids were sending back to the mom constantly, and he had to fight with everything he had to get his kids back, even though he was obviously the best one to take care of them. And like, it's just bullshit for everyone. I don't think it's making men happy. You know, this situation.
I think they're really like excluded from the conversation. I think we should be working with the men as like idea of what is a relationship, what is a life, like because exactly what Emma said is when you ask women, for example, like how much work do you do? Oh, I do like when you calculate like 70-80% of housework, just from the what we are supposed to do, you know. So like everyone needs to be in the conversation. Oh, how much are we doing? What are we doing? Are we doing the things that we like, and the things that nobody likes? How can we split them fairly? Stuff like this. It's like it's not about doing the same. It's not just like let's get this percentage down, and then even more down if men feel like, you know, I'm gonna help you because you're raising children, I'm gonna do some more work, but never this happens.
But also it needs to be more democratized, like
It
taking
needs
care
to
of
be
kids.
a deal between
But taking
two
care of
people,
kids
you know?
there should be TV shows and stuff like that explains
Yeah, exactly.
to everyone, including men, how to take care of a kid.
Yeah.
Because it's expected from girls to know how to, and nobody knows, but for girls we just leaving them. We just expect from girls to know, and the reality is that nobody knows. When you have a kid, you don't know anything. You're just doing what you can, and generally not really great at the beginning, but you're getting better, and eventually works out. But mans, they are like, oh my god, I don't know how to do that, I can't do it, I'm unable to do that. And sincerely, I understand, I understand how you can be freaked out by the situation.
No, but I think the situation is
So
because
it should be explained to everyone. Woman,
being a
man,
parent is
everybody
actually such a
see.
strong thing, and you can gain such a power from knowledge how to do it that the society doesn't want us to know, because if we know, we're gonna be so much more free, because we're gonna be
raising
powerful.
Future rebels.
Yes, we're gonna. But here's the thing that I want to tell you where I'm coming from. So when I was studying, we were working sometimes in the hospital, and we had a great teacher. She was a woman, and she was a surgeon. So she was 40, amazing surgeon, no family, no kids. All other men surgeons, of course they had kids, they had families. But you know how hard it is to be like a woman surgeon? She had no time for kids and for family, because she had to raise the kids alone. Usually like women raise the kids, And for her, there was no time because she was a surgeon. I know this is a problem of society, but this is what is happening then. Then the woman gets a job and she has to... And then she has 2 jobs if she wants to have children. So a children job and a job that she has. And I love having a job. I want to have a job. I want to be independent. So this is incredible what they did. But my problem is that situations like this happens then. That still, like, this woman should have enough money to have a children and enough time to have it, like, to have a child, you know. But it doesn't work like this. So this is what's my problem. Like, she can choose a career or a child, and that's it.
Yeah. In our culture is really, like, if you, the perfect example you gave, it's men, they can give, all the worries to their woman and they raise a child, whereas woman is still in the eyes of society supposed to raise a child, because if you have a stay-at-home dad, you know, who's just taking care of the child, sometimes.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong, but in the eyes of society, this is like super stigmatized. It's like you're like what kind of man are you staying at
or
home
like
taking care of
what kind
children?
of mom are you not caring for children?
Yeah, from all sides. So but what you said, we should be educating people with movies and TV shows. We are doing this, but just in the wrong way.
We're educating so badly. Yeah,
we're doing things like every movie you have like, that's how it looks like when you're raising a child by yourself. It's always bad and it's always
It's hard
wrong.
to keep your house clean. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
To raise a kid, it's a lot of work. This should be taught.
Not just that we're doing nothing. We're doing very negative
Can you
stuff.
open the door, sorry? Also, like, for relationships, like, people watch the shows and then they think relationship should look like this.
Like, obviously,
Yeah.
it's really bad. Like, it's really bad.
All the relationships on TV, I don't know, when we were watching a movie and I said, this is a nice, healthy relationship that I see here online.
Yeah.
There is no nice, healthy.
But even if they're represented as a good guy, they're still saying and doing stuff that's bad. Like, even the things that like, we represent like a really good sex lasting 5 minutes. Are we sure like this is a thing we want to promote, you know? Because it's like, no time to have like a really long sex thing, because it's too whatever, you know?
Yeah, to have like a real connection.
Society is one thing, but also it's responsibility of mothers to educate their kids,
You're so right.
girls and boys, but girls too,
And their
to teach them they
husbands,
can do everything,
Yeah.
and boys that they also can do everything. They also can clean the house and they can enjoy that and they can have emotion. It's a girl's constant job to do it. Constant job. And if every girl, girlfriend, mother, sex friend, just one night stand would educate every man little by little with love. You don't have to be abrupt and confronting. You can do it also with a lot of tenderness and love like I did. But if we were all doing that, masculinity would be so much healthier. I believe.
No, you're so right.
But it's hard.
Because it starts
It's
with
hard.
us.
Yeah.
Imagine being a mother and your kid raped a girl. How? And you know he didn't intend that to. You know he's a good boy, he's your boy, he's your son, you love him so much, you definitely don't want to know about his sex life. But I strongly believe that this is the moment where, as a mother, you should be like, this is unacceptable. I love you in every way, but this is unacceptable and I will not accept it and I will not forgive you until you work on yourself. This is a mother's responsibility, a sister responsibility, a friend responsibility. When a guy does something like that, the whole feminine community should be taking care of that. Not to beat him up,
But also
but to educate him.
masculine community should be
I
taken
think
care
everybody
of that.
should be educated.
Even the men, you know, if the men see that the woman is the other man is touching a woman in a way she doesn't like on a party or something, also they can stop this if they're like somebody conscious. Yeah, they can come and protect the girl, because you obviously see like if she doesn't
Yes,
like
but
it.
if a man protects a girl, then you enter again that logic, you know.
No,
A
but it's
girl
like
needs a man. If
I
a
agree that
woman,
everyone should do it, you know, men
if
or
a
women
woman
alike.
comes
It
at the
doesn't
help of
matter.
like it's not helping anyway, because it's not about helping people. It's about educating the person who is doing the thing. You know what I mean?
But
It's
you
a
are
different.
helping with educating. But yeah, I know what you
I don't
mean.
want to be helped. I don't want to be helped, and first of all, I don't want to be aggressed. I don't want to be harassed.
Yeah, for
I don't
sure.
want to need help. You know what I mean? This is the first step. Like, I want to live a peaceful life as a woman. I want to walk in the street, and if I'm in a couple with a girl, I want to walk in the street, holding hand with my girlfriend, feeling safe and feeling allowed to be myself and not being harassed. Believe it or not, I've been asking to men around me in Paris if they ever noticed street harassment towards women. 90% of the guy I've asked that says, I never see it. Honestly, I hear girls talking about it, I never see it. And those are nice guys. Those are guys that are actually willing to change and to create the change in this planet. They don't notice. And me, I'm like, how can you not notice something that is happening all the time to all the women? So, but it's pointless to get angry. Huh? Yeah. I said to that guy, okay, please, one day, if you walk in the street and you think about it, you're bored, you have time for that, you don't have to think about it all the time, but maybe when sometime you're just in the street and you don't know what to do and you have a little bit of time, just look around. Look at women, look at men, and look at what's happening. And I was like, you're gonna see it, because it's happening constantly. There's no way you will not see it, so you will see it. And I'm like, when you see it, if you feel safe to do so, say something. Do something. So it doesn't happen and it's normal and nobody cares. Just do something, just to put in the world that this is not okay, and that someone is gonna say something at some point, and make that a habit. Yeah. If you feel safe, you're not gonna fight a guy and put your life at risk either. But just first of all, put the attention to notice, expand your attention span to women present there with no other intention than feeling a bit of their reality, and then act on it if you can.
Yeah, but without this consciousness, even before, I can tell you, like, for Emma, it's a totally different experience of the same thing. Like, I never been harassed or anything. Like, maybe it's not so common in Ljubljana, I'm not sure, but still, I can tell you that never I really saw anything. Maybe from the corner, but it was not in my consciousness.
Exactly.
Whereas Emma, you grew up with it, it happens here and there, and somebody whistles behind you, and all the little stuff that are a normal thing,
In Ljubljana happens this a lot, but not this a lot,
Yeah, but still, it's all.
You just honestly, you take 1
hour
hour in the metro station and you look at what's happening. You're gonna see 10 situations of harassment.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to make that choice. You have to choose to look, because if you don't choose to look actively, you can also take the metro 100 times and never notice.
Yeah, but I was never even shown or presented this, so it was not in my conscious. As soon as you put it in, then you see it everywhere.
It's such a hard subject, eh?
I was working as a waitress, and I had a coworker, and there was this group of guys, older guys, 40 something, coming in, and there was one guy who really liked this girl, my coworker, and he was such dirty, disgusting talk, but he was giving her a lot of money as tips, so she would just keep taking it. So she would go there and stand like this and say, what can I give you for a drink? And he would start. And then she would come back and she was like, oh, he's so disgusting. And blah, blah. So at some point I just had enough because it was so disrespectful. I couldn't listen to it. And I was like, stop acting like this. And you know who got angry with me? She. She got so angry with me. She didn't want to talk to me anymore after that. The guy was then apologizing 5 hours to me, no, but I'm not a bad man, I have a child, I love my child, I love my wife, I wouldn't do anything, I was just kidding, why are you so stiff? She was angry with me as hell, what the fuck, I handled the situation so nicely, blah 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 blah, and then they were all just angry with me, but that was the thing, she was angry with me. Taking all this disgusting bullshit, how can you so disrespect yourself for these tiny tips that he gives you, what the fuck is wrong with you?
But it's just a matter of perspective. What did the guy think about it? If he was sorry, and if you probably a little bit save his soul, you know what I mean? You treated him like a human. She was using him. You treated him as an equal, with respect. You treated him like a friend. You would say that to your friend, I respect you enough to tell you that this behavior is not acceptable. It takes a lot of love to go and say to someone, this is not acceptable. It's much easier to ignore it, and it's much easier to use it like she was doing, because you thought you were making a favor to her, but you really were making a favor to him. You were making him a human.
I never thought about it this way.
You were fucking her business, but you were making him a human, and you made her stop using him. So technically you helped him, and that's what people don't get. It's it's men that will win in the end of that situation. More equality with women, they're gonna be the one that's gonna be.
Everyone is gonna win at the end. Yeah, it's a plus for everyone.
So because women, we have been going by that for ages. We know how to deal with that. We have to. We don't have the choice. But men has everything. They have everything to win, to change that situation. Everything, honestly. And I do believe so, like very, very strongly. And good guys, they don't change anything. Because if you go back to 1950, a good guy was a guy who was not beating up his wife and his kids. The wife couldn't have a bank account in her name. The wife couldn't have a job without the approval of her husband. The wife couldn't do anything without the husband. The wife was not even a proper human being. But because he was not beating her up and he was letting her talk and she could have her opinion, then he would be a good guy. But yet the woman would still not be able to have a bank account or anything. So, you know, all the guys that are telling me, oh, but I'm a good guy, I'm like, yeah, but I don't care. You're not gonna give me more rights by being a good guy. You're being a good guy, good for you. You're being a decent human being. Good job at being a decent human being. It's great for yourself. I'm happy for you. Good thing for you. But me, if I want to have equal right with you, I need you to fight by my side. Yeah?
Every day, little by little.
And this is what good guys that think they are good guys, don't understand. And we come back to consent. Consent is good guys are raping her constantly. Bad guys that are real rapists are not that many in the society. What percentage of society of rape that happen are orchestrated by assholes that like to rape women? That wouldn't be a big percentage. Most of it is like in a couple, the guy forcing his girlfriend because he wants and she doesn't want and he doesn't respect it. Or this guy that is at a party and he likes that girl and she might be liking him too. She's not too sure. Yes, she's drunk and he's pushing it. Like, those guys are nice guys. They are not assholes. They are nice guys. Yet they are the ones who commit the rape. And they will, because they are nice guys, they will never ask themselves. The guy who is a rapist eventually is gonna crash a wall. He's gonna be arrested by the police, or he's gonna find somebody stronger than him, and he's gonna have to understand. But the nice guy can live his whole life in that illusion of I am a nice guy without ever asking himself the question. I'm in a war with nice guys. And nice guys hate feminists because feminists don't like nice guys. And it's constantly, and again, you're not fighting with me, then you're against me. And it's the same with every level of life. Racism. If you're not fighting against racism, if you're not fighting side by side with someone that is at black skin and you're white and you're fighting side by side with him against racism, if you're just living your nice white guy or nice white girl life and never actually fights actively against racism, I'm sorry, but you're just participating. You have no rights to pretend you're not a racist. You're living by a racist society without fighting it. Therefore, you're accepting it. If you're not fighting, you're not against. You're with it. You're not encouraging it, but you're still walking by it because it's in your advantage somehow. You're not the discriminated one. Why would you change?
Oh yeah,
It's
you don't want
true
to
for
interrupt
every
your
level.
status quo life, you know.
Exactly.
Just like your bubble, and you don't want anything to change in your bubble.
So you want to tell me you're not a racist? Then what do you actively do to stop racism? You want to tell me you're a nice guy? What you do actively to rebalance, to reach equality between men and women? If you cannot tell me anything that you're actively doing that costs you an effort, and you would know because it would cost you an effort. If you're not actively doing that, then don't even come to talk to me about the fact that you're a nice guy. You're not a nice guy, you're just a lazy asshole that's living by society's rule. And then you come tell me that feminists are too aggressive and they hurt your little male ego, you know, like, I don't care about your little male ego. Feminists, they gave me rights, so I have respect for her. You gave me nothing. You gave me not beating me up. Great, thank you. Yeah, well, you deserve to be a human being. Great for you, good for you, but like, this is I would really like nice guy to understand that. Because I will never convince an asshole, but if I can convince one nice guy at a time, then the world is changing. One nice guy at a time. And I do believe that we could achieve stuff by fighting side by side. And it works for everything. Ecology, racism, any kind of discrimination that is against human, against the planet, against animal. We need to actively do shit. Even if it's small stuff. At your own level, but you need to do something. I
believe everything starts with awareness. So even just talking about it
awareness. absolutely.
You know, not pushing away, but inviting people into this discussion. I think this is basically goes back to that. You know, like if you are not aware and conscious of something's happening, you don't even like.
Absolutely.
You don't realize it. You don't do anything about it. Because how could you? So yeah.
Yeah,
I think
awareness.
this is
You're right. Awareness is the beginning of everything.
Yeah.
I just got dreads recently, like under my hair, and until I got dreads under my hair, I never realized how much work it is to maintain them nice and how painful it is to do it. It's a real thing that you do. For me, it was more like hippie people who don't want to take care of their hair, you know, like, and then they have dreads, and then they are dirty and they don't care. I had a bit of this vision for a while, and now it took me to make dreads, to have them in my hair, to understand why it's so much work. They're actually putting a lot of love and attention to their hair, and it's saying I'm belonging to that community of people, you know, and it's a statement. It's important. It's not something that you do lightly. It's something that costs money, that costs time, that costs love. And it's a thing that you can respect. Now when I see people with dreads and I know what it means to have dreads, I'm like, wow, good job, you know. And I'm like, it's making me happy to know that those people are actually like putting a lot of effort and intention into something that makes sense for them. So yeah, for me, awareness most of the time goes through experience. Like I need to experience something to be aware, but to experience something you also need to be aware of your will to experience something. But basically keeping an open mind and keeping curious about everything is a very good way to reach awareness, constant awareness. With no effort, it's a pleasure, it's not an effort.
Yeah, I believe a lot of times we're just fighting something that's new or that's challenging us. Because it's something's coming, say no, I'm not interested, I don't have time, whatever good excuse.
Yeah, because it's not familiar, you know, like your comfort zone is actually your familiar zone. So if something's not familiar, it's not comfort for you. So then you're scared of it because you don't know it, and then you're fighting it.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And we come back to self-love with that, which is if you love yourself enough, you're strong enough to take
whatever happens.
Something that is different and that is scary. So it's all connected. Like, the more happy, the stronger. The more happy, the stronger. You know, like it's a circle.
Actually, I think this is like a great topic for the relationships as well. You know, accepting the difference, accepting others as they are. It's like, and even accepting different beliefs about relationships. Because I do want to talk with you because you have this beautiful, unique way of seeing relationships that is different than most of us. So this is such a great introduction, you know. Usually you accept what's familiar because you know it, and you're scared of something else because it's different. So now we can all open our minds and just listen to your explanation or your view of relationship, because it's so amazing. Romantic relationship. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to hear from you. What is a romantic relationship for you? How do you see it?
First of all, it's constantly evolving. I'm not a set person on anything, and my view on it changes all the time. My first relationship was an open relationship. I don't know where that come from. I don't know if I'm born with that. I don't know. My parents has been together like a man and a woman, and they stayed together for a long time, and eventually they didn't go along anymore, and they separated, and they both found another partner after, and recreated two different couples, and they again stayed a very long time in those couples too. So there's nothing really in my life that led me to open relationships, but I did. I would define myself as bisexual or pansexual, or let's say the gender of the person is not what's gonna define if I'm gonna be attracted with someone and if I'm gonna be able to experience pleasure physically with that person. I can experience pleasure with a man or a woman, and I can be attracted to a man or a woman. So through that, I've been discovering the gay community. And in the gay community, many things that are really strange and unusual are actually quite common. So I guess that's probably how I got inspiration about open relationships. But I always considered that your body doesn't belong to me. My body doesn't belong to anyone except myself, and the body of my partner doesn't belong to anyone except themselves. And I always thought that being in a couple with someone is sharing your intimacy and sharing a bit more with that person than what you would usually share with other human beings. But I don't believe that because I'm in a couple with someone, this person owns my body and is the only person that is welcome intimately in my space. I believe that if I meet someone that's attracting me and it's really rare and it's a beautiful connection, sometimes you meet someone and there is this little sparkle, something is working out, you were meant to meet that person, everything is easy, everything makes sense, and it's just a beautiful moment. You don't want it to last all your life, you don't want to have kids with that person, you don't want to buy a house, but you do want to spend more time and you do want to share more of yourself, and sometimes you have sex with that person or simply you just share a beautiful deep connection with that person. And I hate the idea that sharing that would be betraying the person you love. It's literally creating more love in the planet. Me, my partner, if they have sex with someone else or if they share a deep connection with someone else, for me it's like they are learning something new that then they will be able to share with me when they come back to me. And if they love me, they will be back to me. Because if having sex with someone else is enough to convince you to go with that person and leave me, then it was not love. When you share love with someone, you're not afraid that this person would go away with someone else. If that person goes away with someone else, it's because that person belongs with that other person and not with me anymore. Me, I want to be with someone that belongs with me and I want to belong with that person. And this doesn't need any bind or any leash or anything. That person has the right to be fully free, and it's inside of that freedom that loves lie, I feel when I'm deeply in love with someone, setting them free is the hardest but the most beautiful thing I can do, and for me it's the most precious gift you can give to someone you love. You are free. You're free to do what you want, when you want. You're free to be you, you're free to respect your own pace, and you're welcome in my space. And then I love when I can share that with someone that feels the same, that gives me my time, my space, I can use my body, but we share one another, and it makes sense, we're making that bubble of strength in that crazy world, There's someone I can rely on, but it's not someone that's locking me up. And I always, as soon as that vision of love came through me, it made so much sense that I never even questioned it. And for me, it always made sense to be in open relationships. When I was in an open relationship, I still had to set rules to make it work out, to make it for what I could take. I do believe that utopia of relationship would be no rules at all, actually. But until then, until you are strong enough, open enough, until you are in that state of enlightenment of love, I needed some rules for sure. So for me, it's good communication is very, very important in an open relationship. That was my rule. I wanted to know. I hate the idea. I'm really uncomfortable with the fact that my partner would have shared intimacy, sex or anything with one person and I'm not aware of it, and we are together with that person and that person knows but I don't know. There is an unbalance there that I don't like. It's full on ego. I just have the feeling I'm a bit ridiculous because I don't know. I'm gonna talk to that person like a friend, but that person is actually very linked to me through the fact that that person is really linked to my partner, and I have no idea but she knows. So there is an imbalance there that is really unsettling for me and I don't like it. And for me, communication was the most important thing. If it's coming from the person I love, nothing will hurt me. If the person I love is telling me something with love, it will not hurt me. It could be hard to take in, it could take me a while to accept, but it's not going to hurt me. It's not with a damaging intention. And so I can hear anything from someone I love who's talking to me with love. But if you don't talk to me and I discover it by myself, then betrayal feeling is like really quickly there. And for me, a good communication was the key, the absolute key to an open relationship. Talking about the definition, how we see it, what's acceptable for the other or not. And if it's not acceptable, then is that relationship even possible? You know? Am I ready to renounce to something that is important for me just for you? And how healthy is that? I don't know. It's a discussion that is super interesting to have, even before you really invest yourself in a relationship with someone. For me, that's the absolute basis of everything. But maybe, like, I don't know, maybe it's important to define stuff, but like, what I understand in open relationship, what I mean with that is that your body belongs to you, you can have sex with other people, but I'm only in love with you and you're only in love with me. This is the difference between polyamory and open relationship, because it's not obvious. Me, for what I know, and it's changing now. Now I'm definitely getting towards polyamory more and more. But back in time, I could not be in love with two people in the same time. If I'm in love with someone, this person lives in my heart and there's only one spot there, and I can have sex with 100 people and still that person is my human, my stable thing, my thing that I love, and the person with who I want to invest myself. And that could be only one person. I could not imagine feeling that deep connection with several human beings at the same time. For me, it was inconceivable. I could totally conceive that you can enjoy your life, go on holiday, spend your time with other humans, share your body with other humans, but I didn't have the capacity to share my heart between different humans. And the more time is passing now, the stronger I feel in myself, the more I love myself, the more I feel that I can actually love so many people. The same way that I can have love for my family, and this love is so strong, it's so powerful, it's so present, takes so much space inside of my heart, and still be in love with a human being, another human being, and those two loves can coexist. I'm more and more discovering inside of myself that I have this capacity to actually love, deeply love, several human beings in the same time. It's slowly growing. I feel it, like it's taking shape. I'm not too sure yet if physically, I don't know if it's life-proof. I haven't tried it yet. I haven't been in that position, but I would love to, and I'm definitely curious of what polyamory can hold of marvels. I do believe it's a very beautiful possibility, but that's definitely something different than an open relationship. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for sharing.
It's like what you touched upon. It's really interesting how you said the most important thing in an open relationship is communication.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think you can say this for any relationship, even a friendship.
True, every relationship.
You cannot have a good, prosperous relationship without a clear communication of your needs, of your desires. Of course, you need to be in touch with yourselves. Comes back to all that we've spoken about. But communication, this really openness, like open communication doesn't have to be reserved for open relationship. It's for any relationship.
True. And there's two things that I would point out as well. Like when we talked. This really touched me when you say, when you are with someone else, it's not your partner, the other person will put seeds in you. Like it will inspire, it will make your life more full. And then when you come back to your partner, the seeds are gonna grow, and the partner is gonna be the one that's gonna smell the flowers and eat the fruit of these seeds. And it's so beautiful. It makes, it gives more life to everyone. It makes so much sense. And also the idea of flow of life. So, life decides who you meet. Mm-hmm. You said this to me once, and it's beautiful because it's true. Life decides who you meet, and there is no sense to fight against life, because life is the first relationship you have with the relationship you have with yourself and with life. And this is what I find so beautiful in this, what you're saying right now. Like it allows so much space just to allow.
Yeah. But it's always a logic it's just a logic of life that is relevant for every situation. Let's say if you are a workaholic, you work like most of your days, like 10 hours a day, you're at your job and you're giving your time and your energy to your job, and then you come back home and you're tired. How many things do you miss out? You miss out on your kids, you miss out on sunrise and sunset, you miss out on so many things that could be so inspiring and so beautiful. I don't want my relationship to be like a job, taking me all my time and taking me away from meeting the people I need to meet. Life puts exactly that. Life puts in your way some humans that are very important in that moment. You never know how. Sometimes you feel really, I don't know if it happens to you, but it happens to me. I feel really attracted to someone, like oh, that person is so sexy, so beautiful, I want to know that person. And when we meet, actually the seduction and the attraction disappears completely, and I just needed to meet that person for what that person has to share. And sometimes it's completely something different. Sometimes we had the same kind of life path, and her understanding or his understanding of a situation is completely inspiring for me. And what I thought was like a physical attraction is actually just a life meeting that needed to happen. But if you don't take the time, if you don't have the awareness again to see that and to let it space to grow and see whatever it's gonna become, then you're missing out. And I don't understand how you expect to be with someone for years and years and years if you don't let them the freedom to grow and to change and to become constantly a new person. I don't know how you expect to still be in love with them and not be tired of them. And not fight over stupid things because there's nothing new, so it's always old stuff being shaked, and after a while obviously you're tired of it. I don't know how you expect a relationship to work out. You have to keep it flow, like to keep it moving, like we were saying that earlier about the cartoon, but like life is movement and movement is life, and you cannot block the flow of the life. It needs to move. It needs to be shared, to come back to you, to take another shape, to change again. As long as there is movement, there is an healthy life there. As soon as you block the movement and you say, no, you won't do this, you won't do that, or you say it to yourself, because that's the worst. It's not always your partner expecting you to do stuff. Sometimes you expect yourself to do stuff for your partners because you think it's important for them, and then you impose it to yourself. The worst is the worst. There's nothing worse to stop growing and to stop being a happy, healthy human being than repressing yourself in the name of someone that you love. It's the worst, and it's also not a gift to do to the person you love, because what would you do after a while? Oh, but I did all of this for you and now you don't love me anymore and I wasted my life. Yeah, but dude, nobody asked you. You're responsible for your life. You're responsible to make sure you have a healthy life. And yeah, I think it's important.
In the same way, I feel like beyond relationships, anytime you have something in yourself that I really feel I want to go there, I want to do this, I want to meet this person, and then you go against yourself because you're afraid, society tells you, wherever this blockage comes from, you're stopping this flow. And
yeah, it doesn't have to be sexual thing, doesn't even have to be attraction, just to meet someone
or
with
whatever. Any one person, you can be just with yourself.
You know, or what situation.
Platonic love, typically, like a friendship love.
Yeah.
Like the more and more I'm starting to see how friendship and love can be so close. Like the border between love and friendship is really, really thinner than I thought it was, you know, like
when you realize what true friendship is.
Yeah,
it's so close to love.
I feel completely in love with some of my friends. It's a love feeling. It's making my heart beat. It's like it's making my mind go crazy, and yet I don't want anything sexual, and I don't want to be in a couple with that person. But it's so strong and it's so beautiful and powerful. It's like
beautiful feelings we can have. I really love this human body. It allows us all this emotion. Wow.
Yeah, it's so precious. I really like it. And my last relationship, actually, like we started, I was with another girl and she was really jealous. She suffered from jealousy. For me, jealousy is like a disease. It's like she suffered from jealousy, and it was really hard for her to have me not only be sexually with another person, but even share myself with another person. I'm always open to new things. So I was like, okay, I've been in open relationship lately, and I think I'm ready to try something new. So let's try to be in a monogamous relationship, just the two of us, and not have sex with anybody else. I told her from the start, I'm not sure this is gonna suit me, but I'm keen to try. Let's try it. And actually this has been like, I could do it. I don't really mind because I don't feel that sexual interaction is that precious anyway. Like I don't feel the need to have a sexual interaction with someone I feel attracted to. So it was not really a burden to do that. But it was not making me grow either. You know? I could feel that I was on someone else's path and not on my life path. And stuff that I needed to learn, I would not learn because I was following someone else's path. And because I didn't remain myself and I changed for someone else, she didn't receive the teaching she could have received from me, being myself. And maybe she met me because she needed to grow in that way and to open her mind in that way. But because I repressed myself for her, then neither her or me really grew up about the situation. We just kind of stay in a comfort of no pain. Because I was not with other person, she didn't have to face her jealousy, and then it was painless for her, and because she was not in pain, I was happy too, because obviously I don't want my partner to be suffering. And so it was easier for me to not have sexual interaction with other people than to see my partner suffer. But we didn't grow. She didn't work on her jealousy. Eventually her jealousy took more space. So after, it was not just sexual interaction, but if I was being tender and hugging someone and sharing a special relationship with someone, that would be hard for her. And then like that, you know, if you start entering that I'm not gonna push you, you know, I'm gonna respect your comfort zone and let you be in your comfort zone, you're not going anywhere. I needed to be me. And if we couldn't be together by me being me, then we shouldn't be together. Because if you cannot be fully you with someone, then you should probably not be with that person.
#me first.
Wow, that's
Yes
a beautiful
and no.
ending, like connecting all the topics. You know, like
We came full circle.
being
that's
first in love with yourself, like first taking care of yourself, then being in a relationship with each
and
other.
aware of the other one's difference. So the
Yes.
other one difference doesn't hurt you.
And
Because
accepting
we
a
also
no.
come back to that, you know, like
Oh, that was like amazing.
because
Circle of everything.
if she would have been able to accept my difference and work on herself, and if I would have been able to accept her difference and work on myself, I really have the feeling it would have maybe not worked, or maybe it would have worked, but at least it would have been real for both of us. And this is what love should be about, something really real.
Thank you so much, Flo. This was like such a beautiful insight on so many things actually. Like, I love it. It was amazing.
We have
Just for the end, like a few quick questions.
Okay.
You just
Okay.
answer the way you like. A few sentences, you know.
Sure.
Ok. Premièrement, on est arrivé dans le partie de la conversation dans lequel on parle un peu français.
D'accord.
Parce que tu m'as posé un petit démon de te poser une question. Donc je suis toujours intéressé dans les livres, mais pas seulement les livres, les personnages, les films aussi qui t'inspirent maintenant.
Ah,
Cette
c'est une
personne-
question difficile.
Ouais, je sais, mais c'est juste une recommandation.
J'aime bien comment tu me dis, je vais te poser une petite question. Les questions faciles. Ah, c'est super difficile. C'est difficile comme question parce que déjà je lis beaucoup, je regarde beaucoup de films.
Tu suis quelques personnes
Leur
travail.
Oui, j'écoute aussi beaucoup de podcasts. Je suis quand même très intéressée par tout ce qui est féminisme. Tous les livres et les auteurs qui parlent du féminisme en général m'intéressent et j'aime bien garder contact avec parce que j'aime voir leur évolution, j'aime voir ce qu'ils développent. J'aime voir aussi, parce que c'est très lié à la société et à l'évolution de la société. Et c'est intéressant de voir comme une personne évolue dans son opinion, etc.
Si tu penses de quelque chose, on peut ajouter ça dans la description.
C'est vrai.
Après.
C'est vrai. Bon, j'aime beaucoup Virginie Despentes, King Kong Theory. Mais bon, c'est très classique, hein, mais c'est toujours intéressant. À chaque fois qu'elle fait une interview ou quelque chose, je suis toujours intéressée de l'entendre. Elle a un point de vue vraiment, vraiment intéressant. Elle a été aussi hétérosexuelle et attirée par les hommes la plupart du temps dans sa vie. Et récemment, elle a découvert son attirance pour les femmes. Et par exemple, une chose qu'elle a dit que j'avais trouvé vraiment intéressante, c'est que depuis qu'elle s'intéresse aux femmes, alors que pour les hommes, elle a entre 40 et 50 ans maintenant, et pour les hommes, ça y est, elle n'était plus intéressante. Les hommes ne sont plus intéressés par une femme de 40 ou 50 ans. Mais en s'intéressant aux femmes, soudainement, elle était vraiment exactement dans l'âge où les femmes continuent de se rencontrer et sont toujours aussi belles et attirantes, et ta vie de séduction est pas du tout finie. Pas du tout finie, t'es en plein dedans. Et pour elle, c'était vraiment un cadeau de s'être intéressée aux femmes, parce que elle pouvait sortir de cette espèce de condamnation que vieillir représente pour une femme par rapport aux hommes. Et ça, par exemple, c'est exactement pour ce genre de réflexion que j'aime bien garder contact avec ces auteurs-là. Mais sinon, je lis aussi beaucoup de fantaisie. J'aime beaucoup laisser la place à d'autres mondes et à des mondes imaginaires et à la pure création. Et ouais, il y a un livre que j'adore, un livre de fantaisie qui s'appelle La Horde du Contrevent. Et c'est un livre dans lequel l'auteur a inventé un langage, a inventé une certaine poésie, une façon de parler qui n'existe nulle part ailleurs. Il n'a pas simplement créé un monde, mais il a aussi créé une façon d'exprimer les choses, un nouveau vocabulaire, une nouvelle conjugaison, presque une nouvelle langue. C'est écrit en français, donc c'est quelque chose que tu peux comprendre, parce que tu maîtrises le français, tu vas comprendre. Il utilise des mots de vocabulaire en les changeant un petit peu, en les mélangeant avec d'autres mots. Tu comprends ce qu'il dit, et pourtant c'est quelque chose de complètement nouveau qui n'existe absolument pas. Et ça, pour moi, ça c'est quelque chose qui m'a marqué énormément, parce que ça a lié tout ce que j'aime. C'est de la poésie, c'est de la fantaisie, c'est surprenant, c'est d'une grande qualité. Ça, c'est vraiment un des livres qui m'a le plus...
Je suis pour le livre.
Oui, ça serait difficile. C'est un bon entraînement pour français seconde langue. C'est bon courage. Mais non, ça c'est magnifique. Magnifique.
Je crois que c'est parfait. Merci beaucoup. Okay. What was the best job you ever had?
Okay, probably the most interesting is the one I have in France when I come back to France. I'm taking care of kids that come from like a family that don't have much money and that have a bit harder of time than others, and we just take them to museum, theater. We just open them to cultural
That's
stuff.
amazing.
Yeah, and so my job is literally to enjoy something new with them and help them to have access to it. Explain if I need to explain, or just simply be there and enjoying it, so they can see, oh, it's actually fun to go to a museum. It can be fun. And I'm right there showing them the way, and also being aware of their progress and how they understand what they see, and being like, you see, you understood that, you see, you're capable. Like, you have the capacity. It's inside of you, like, go for it. You know, you can trust yourself, you have everything in you. Right. And I'll be there to watch it, and I'll be there to help you if you need. And you can count on me, you know, and that's an amazing job. Like, that's really the job I like to do.
Okay, second question. What's your wildest dreams?
Okay, well, right now it's changing all the time, and I'm dreaming all the time. I have like a
Beautiful.
constant new dreams. Like I'm like sitting beside a girl that is my dream at the moment, in this minute exactly. Anyway, my dream right now would be to be able to earn money outside of a society context. I want to create something that I would be able to exchange or sell, is the same thing, but thanks to something that I would create with everything I have in me, and I will dedicate time to create that, something beautiful. I want to create beauty and share that beauty with other human beings, and this will give me the opportunity to live. This will give me food and shelter. I don't really care about money, I don't really care if it's trading, if it's just roofing, you know, having a roof and food against something that I would create. That would be really something I dream of. That's a wild dream
Amazing.
of mine.
Okay. What's as big or as small as possible? What's one thing you would change about the world? Like this.
Wow, those questions every time I'm like drowned. Everything. The question is, what would I keep in the world? That would be easier. I would destroy the idea that money makes money. I would destroy the idea of profit. I don't mind money as an exchange substitute. It's a very convenient thing, money, to be able to exchange something, because it's really hard to trade, to find something, two things that have the same value.
Yeah.
If you have something really precious and you need something small, I need a pinch of salt, and the only thing I have in exchange is like a beautiful necklace that I have. It wouldn't make any sense. So should I be without salt? No. Money allows you to trade. It's just an easier way to balance value, yeah. So if that was the point of money, that would be great. I'm not against money, but I'm really, really strongly against the idea of profit. Money making money. Money appearing out of nowhere. Money appearing out of taking advantage of people. And I think that's what I would change in the world. I would make the world a profitless space. Creation
Nice.
space, but profitless.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you, Flo. That's all. Like,
Great.
Yeah.
Ice
well,
cream
we
time.
talked so much, so thank you so
I
much.
know, but like, imagine, like,
So beautiful
we always-
topics, really.
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much for coming. If there's something more you want to say, or you said so much already, like,
oh my God, thank you guys. Thank you for making the podcast. It's great. Like, it's such a cool idea. It's inspiring. It's inspiring me. It's making me want to do stuff, actually. And I think it's also very generous to make a podcast, because like it's something you share with whoever wants to listen to. I'm a big fan of podcasts, and I'm super grateful for everybody who puts in the work to then share that with the world. So thank you.
that's
guys.
our intention, to inspire someone, so I'm so happy.
Yeah, okay, already
you.
one. Yeah, on the good
Thank
way.
you so much.
So bye bye, lots of love.
Bye. That's so weird. Bye, microphone. You're really pretty.